Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you this evening. The Lal Street posts the worst single-day fall in 2 months as the HDFC twins see a sharp fall. The sensex down nearly 700 points. The nifty loses about 200, wiping out the gains made this week. Big tech continues to deliver as Apple's quarterly earnings beat estimates. India business sets a new record, clocking double-digit growth. CEO Tim Cook says India is at a tipping point and a major focus for Apple. E-commerce unicorn Meesho announces the second round of job cuts. The CEO admits to overhiring as the company lays off 251 employees. Indian startups have laid off over 6,000 employees in the first 4 months of 2023. Airfares take flight after cash-strapped Go First suspends operations. A Mumbai to Delhi flight tomorrow costs nearly 15,000 rupees. Fresh trouble for Go First as 8 lessors send applications to the aviation regulator seeking to deregister 20 aircraft. Mutual fund industry sees a sharp rise in new investors. Millennials account for 54% of the 1.57 crore new investors. 90% of the millennials preferred investing in equity last fiscal. Only 3% preferred debt. Over 50% of the new millennial investors are below the age of 32. India's Foreign Minister Jai Shankar and Pakistan's Bilawal Bhutto greet each other at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting in Goa. No bilateral meeting between India and Pakistan. Jai Shankar meets with his Chinese counterpart and discuss the issues at the border. Manipur remains tense following ethnic clashes earlier this week. The Indian Army says the situation is under control as the centre deploys more troops. The Northeast Frontier Railway suspends all train operations through the state for the next 48 hours. Mobile internet remains cut off. Top NCP leaders reject Sharad Pawar's decision to step down as party chief. Passes a resolution requesting him to continue. The 82-year-old veteran politician is yet to take a final call on the request. Well, let's start with the market action this Friday. A sharp sell-off wiping out the gains that we saw being made through the week. The sensex down nearly 800 points. The nifty lost about 200 points in what was the biggest single-day fall that we've seen in 2 months. Now, HDFC twins under pressure today. The nifty bank index was down over 1%. Prashant is standing by to wrap up the market action. So it's a weak close this Friday afternoon. Prashant, what spooked the bulls?
It was a bit of a roller coaster ride today because the market started lower, sharply down on the back of the weak handoff from Wall Street. There was a sharp recovery that we saw, almost 100 points, but that was the high, which was made within the first 2 hours or so of trade. From there, it was consistent selling, which only accelerated in the last 1 hour of trade. And the Nifty and the Bank Nifty both ending at the low point of the day. The Nifty ending 1% down. Banks lost more than double of that, more than 2%. Small cap and mid cap indices lost about 0.75%, 0.8% in that range. So that was the market picture. Early on, we got information, of course, with regards to how MSCI, the big index provider, is going to treat HDFC in its sort of global standard indices. And that triggered a wave of selling. Both these stocks contributing to a large portion of the damage that we've seen on both the Bank Nifty and, of course, on the Nifty as well. But there were other banks which lost as well. Financials broadly. Manappuram, for example, has been a bad week on the back of course, what we've been seeing with investigative agencies like the ED. Federal Bank reported a margin miss. The stock lost sharply. Indocent, RBL Bank, City Union Bank were some of the others which came under selling pressure. In the broader market, by close, market breadth was negative decisively. BHEL, Dabur, GSFC, GICRE. Lots of these were basically pullbacks after very strong gains in the preceding few days. ABFRL, HBL Power, Symphony, DCB Bank were some of the other losses that we had on our hands. Later today, out of the US, we get the big jobs report, which is going to be important. We have just started the Fed meeting, but this is a number you cannot ignore. Global price action has also been signaling weakness, and I think that warrants watching. Both the Nifty and the Bank Nifty are very close to the lows that we saw earlier in the week, and those are supports which you want to hold when we come back on Monday for the market to maintain its uptrend that it has been for the last many weeks now.
Prashant, many thanks for joining us. That was the market action for the day and the week. Now, in the oil market, crude oil prices seeing some recovery with Brent moving closer to the $75 mark. This comes after a sharp drop in prices over the last few days due to fears of a slowdown in the US and China. Despite the recovery on Friday, oil prices are likely to end the week in the red. On to the big global earnings. Tech giant Apple reported better than expected numbers during its March quarter, driven by record iPhone revenue. The company's profits have come in at $24 billion, while revenue stood at nearly $95 billion, beating Wall Street expectations. Apple's India business posted a record quarter and clocked double-digit growth on a yearly basis. Tim Cook says India is at a tipping point. Shilpa joins us now with more on Apple's big bet on India. Very positive commentary on India. This in the backdrop of his one-week visit to India, Shilpa. So clearly, Apple gung-ho on India.
Well, at a tipping point and an incredibly exciting market, that's the word coming in from iPhone maker Apple on the Indian market, which its chief Tim Cook has said is a major focus area for the company. Now, in the quarter gone by, the iPhone maker said that it set a quarterly record in the Indian market. It grew double digits on a year-on-year basis. And while he was answering an analyst question on the India opportunity, he said that beyond the sales of its hardware devices like iPhones, iPads, etc., it does see a huge opportunity across the board. And this includes services, and this is despite the fact that India, he said, has low ARPUs or average revenue per user, but on a long-term basis, he sees an opportunity across the board, including services in the Indian market. Now, remember, Apple operates in the premium segment in the Indian market, and this is a segment that's not really been impacted by inflation or the macroeconomic headwinds that we've been seeing. But Tim Cook says that he sees a lot of people entering the middle class in India, and he hopes that he can convince some of these people to buy iPhones as well, and that could drive further business going ahead. Now, remember, Apple opened two retail stores, its first two retail stores in India last month, one in Mumbai and one in Delhi as well. Now, looking at a global level or at the company level also, Apple says that the iPhone, in fact, clocked a record revenue this quarter, and this was led by a very strong performance in emerging markets, which included India, but also South Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East. Now, the iPhone revenues came in at about $51.3 billion, and overall revenue was down about 3% to about $94.8 billion, and its net income or profit was also down about 3% to $24.2 billion. But while this is a second straight quarter that the company has seen a decline in its numbers, this was still above the street expectations, which was in fact expecting a very soft quarter for Apple, but record iPhone sales have driven a performance beyond market expectations for the company. And while the company has not given a guidance on the June quarter, it has said that the June quarter will be similar to the March quarter, but that is given that there is no worsening of the macroeconomic outlook than what it is currently. Back to you.
Shilpa, many thanks for joining us. There is fresh trouble for cash-strapped airline Go First. 8 aircraft lessors have filed an application with the aviation regulator, that's DGCA, seeking to deregister 20 planes. Now, the airline remains grounded. The NCLT has reserved its orders on Go First's plea under the bankruptcy law, seeking an interim moratorium. Danish is standing by with more details on the lessors moving the DGCA. Danish, what do we know?
Well, fresh issues have cropped up for Wadia Group-backed airline Go First, as 8 Dublin-based lessors are seeking to deregister 20 aircraft. The lessors have filed irrevocable deregistration and export request authorization to the Director General of Civil Aviation. The lessors are seeking to deregister 4 Airbus A320 aircraft and 16 A320 Neo aircraft. Out of 8 lessors, GY Aviation has leased the maximum number of aircraft, that is 10, followed by SMBC Aviation, which has leased 4 aircraft to Go First, and the remaining 6 lessors have leased 1 airplane each. These planes have been stationed at various airports like Kannur, Nagpur, Delhi, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Chennai and Mumbai, and this development has come within 2 days after the airline announced its voluntary insolvency move.
Danish, many thanks for joining us. And as Go First remains grounded, airline fares are surging. So if you're planning to fly from Mumbai to Delhi tomorrow, then prepare to shell out nearly 15,000 rupees or more. Madiha standing by with what we are seeing across airfares. Madiha, give us a snapshot of the prices across major routes today.
Let me start with some context first here before we get to the fares part. Go First was operating 180 to 185 flights every day and was flying about 30,000 passengers daily before filing for bankruptcy. Now with the airline getting out of the market, at least for the foreseeable future, this 30,000 passenger traffic gets directed to other airlines. And with many flyers making last-minute bookings, all airlines who are seeing an uptick in demand are making the best of that opportunity. Now, let's look at some routes that are seeing a dramatic spike. And I picked up routes where Go First operated more flights. So if you're traveling on the 6th of May, which is tomorrow, look at the Delhi to Mumbai fares. The highest fare is 28,000 rupees and the lowest is 13,000 rupees. Look at the fares for some other routes where Go First had a higher frequency. Delhi to Srinagar is 27,000 rupees, whereas Mumbai to Srinagar is 34,000 rupees. Next, check Mumbai to Lucknow. 17,000 rupees and the lowest fare on this route is 15,000 rupees. Another route where Go First flew, Delhi to Patna, highest fare is 18,000 rupees, the lowest is 12,000 rupees. Then Mumbai to Ranchi is 19,000 rupees and these prices are easily more than double of the usual rates. Mumbai to Kanpur, another Go First route, is over 18,000 rupees. Let's see Mumbai to Kochi. The highest fare is 28,000 rupees and the lowest fare is 14,000 rupees. Now, important to note here that these prices are as of noon today, and if you check now, some fares have even jumped even further. I spoke to some leading travel booking platforms and they say prices are likely to remain high and fluid in the next few days before settling down at a level.
Well, Madhiya, many thanks for joining us. Yes, as Madhiya was pointing out, we have seen capacity being removed from the market, and that is what is leading to this kind of surge across the sectors that Go Air was frequently taking passengers on. On to earnings now. Bharat Forge missing estimates on all fronts in Q4. The company's net profit down 7% compared with last year. However, revenue up 19% year-on-year. EBITDA up 13%. Federal Bank reported a mixed bag this quarter. Net interest income missed street expectations, and this was the highest decline the bank has seen in the last 14 quarters. However, net profit rose nearly 70% compared to last year, while the asset quality has seen improvement sequentially as well. In a fresh round of job cuts, e-commerce platform Meesho has laid off more than 250 employees. The management says that they made an error of judgment by overhiring ahead of the curve. Akhil joins us now with more. Akhil, layoffs across the startup space continue. Meesho axing another 250 jobs.
That's right. Meesho has cut jobs for the third time in the last 1 year. If we include the 251 employees who have been fired in the latest round, the social commerce unicorn has let go more than 700 employees since last April. The company says it was a difficult decision, but a necessary one, as it looks to turn lean to achieve sustained profitability. Co-founder and CEO Vidit Atre, in a letter to employees, said the macro climate has undeniably and considerably changed. And as a result, the company has had to accelerate its timeline to profitability by tempering its growth targets and staying highly prudent when it comes to costs. Atres even admitted to judgment errors in overhiring ahead of the curve after the company witnessed stellar growth during the pandemic. Meesho is not alone in trying to cut costs to rectify the error in thinking that pandemic-era growth will last forever. We need to keep in mind that the funding winter has made it tougher to raise funds to keep up the cash burn. The firing spree, which began early last year, has led to over 90 Indian startups laying off more than 25,000 employees. 6,000 employees have been let go in the first 4 months of 2023. Now, besides Meesho, several unicorns have also cut jobs, the largest of them coming in edtech, with Byju's and Academy and others slashing jobs in their core businesses and at subsidiaries as well in multiple rounds. Back to you.
Akhil, many thanks for joining us. So challenging times there for the startup universe. Goldman Sachs is under the scanner of US authorities over its role in Silicon Valley Bank and its connection with the events that led to the bank's collapse. The bank has been criticized for playing a dual role in SVB, both as a buyer of securities worth $21 billion sold by the bank and an advisor on a failed equity fundraise days before the bank collapsed. The company, in a stock exchange filing, has said it is fully cooperating with the ongoing investigation and is providing all necessary documents. Demat account openings have seen a sharp fall since December of 2020. A little more than 1 million accounts were opened in April compared to 3.5 million accounts in October of 2021. Analysts have attributed this decline to a volatile market, overpriced IPOs and muted returns for investors. But the mutual fund industry has seen a sharp rise in new investors. According to a report, millennials account for 54% of the 1.57 crore new investors. Sonal is standing by to take us through the details of what millennials are doing with mutual funds. Sonal.
Well, yes, the mutual fund industry saw a sharp increase in new investors starting from FY20. While there has been a big Gen Z wave, you know who contributed the most to it? The millennials. Millennials, also known as Gen Y, are the ones born between 1981 to 1996. A report by CII Camp shows 84.8 lakh new millennials joined the mutual fund community. 1.54 crore SIP registrations were from this age group, 1.03 lakh crore of gross inflows, and AUM addition of 96,425 crore rupees. And 26% of these millennials were women. Between FY19 and FY23, totally 1.57 crore new investors joined the mutual fund industry, and 54% of them were millennials. And of the total SIPs, which stood at 5.34 crores, 29% came in from the millennials. Now, how has this segment grown in the last 5 years? We saw a big influx of investors in the mutual fund industry due to the pandemic. FY19 saw an addition of 29 lakhs. This actually fell to 21.2 lakh in FY20. FY21 was similar. FY22 saw a big jump at 48 lakh, and FY23 continued with additional investors despite the market volatility. Millennials continued to be the bigger contributor here, anywhere between 51% to as high as 57% in FY20. Actually, their share peaked at 57% in FY20. Even among the millennials, the number of investors born between 1991 and 1996, that has steadily increased over the 5-year period. Out of all the millennials who have entered the MF industry, 50% are born between 91 to 96, 30% between 1986 to 1990, and the rest in earlier years. Now, interest in making the first investment in equity funds intensified in FY20 and FY23, even though the market rally peaked in FY21. So as a category, equity continued to be the flavor, commanding 90% share in FY23, followed by debt at 3% and other categories at 6%. So if we map the preference for equity funds, it has seen a sharp increase from FY21 to FY23. The pandemic period could have made them a little cautious. The record performance of the market in FY21 may have made the millennials more interested in FY22 and FY23 to put in money there. Whether this continues or not, we'll have to track.
All right, Sonal, many thanks for joining us. We will head into a break, but up next, India's Foreign Minister and Pakistan's Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto meet each other at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting in Goa. There is no bilateral meeting planned between the two. Details when we return.
I am slow. I'm a tortoise. But your wealth managers, they shouldn't be as slow, you know?
Choose Nuvama. We move at the right pace because we only do what's right for you and your money. Nuvama. Let's do it right.
AC gone.
Blue Star on.
Blue Star fast cool inverter AC with voice command. Bye-bye heat. Blue Star.
The pursuit of inspiration, empowering visionaries to drive innovation. The pursuit for enduring growth, honoring game-changing achievers. The pursuit of unmatched legacy. 18 years and counting. The CNBC-TV18 India Business Leader Awards, as prestigious as the leaders they honor.
Standard Chartered presents India Business Leader Awards, a legacy inspiring excellence, in partnership with Hindustan Times.
Presented by Standard Chartered.
Z-Black Premium Agarbatti and Dhoop, official prayer partner, Delhi Capitals.
When our big boss was MD, he used to take care of us.
And our Prince Sahab is busy ensuring his family. Oh, big boss, you?
He's busy obtaining term insurance for his family. After all, office is also our family, am I right?
Let's close the deal.
Thank you. Verma ji, will you have tea with this prince?
LIC's Group Term Assurance Plan takes care of your office family.
On day 2 of the SCO Foreign Ministers meeting in Goa, India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar greeted his Pakistan counterpart Bilawal Bhutto. However, both countries will not hold a bilateral meeting. Addressing member states, Jaishankar delivered a strong message on terrorism, saying that it must be stopped in all forms. The Indian Foreign Minister also met with his counterpart from China, Parikshit, standing by to take us through the details. Parikshit, the SCO meeting underway, and of course, Bilawal Bhutto and the Chinese Foreign Minister in attendance.
Well, it seems to have been a power-packed SCO Foreign Ministers meeting in Goa, which is still underway. But there were two key messages delivered by S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister. One aimed at Pakistan, and that is the menace of terrorism has continued unabated, and there can be no justification for cross-border terror, and we cannot allow individuals or states to hide behind non-state actors. Secondly, to China, his message was that we can understand the focus on connectivity for all nations, but this must come with respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity. Remember, India and China have been locked in a border dispute for over 2 years now. So what has happened in the meeting so far? There were 7 foreign ministers from SCO nations, including Kazakhstan, China, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan. The presence of Pakistan, why is it important? Bilawal Bhutto Zardari is the first Pakistani leader to be visiting India for any meeting in the last 12 years. There is literally no bilateral engagement between India and Pakistan. So this visit assumes importance. There was no bilateral, no pull aside, at least not that we know of, at least not that either of the sides has spoken about so far. Apparently, there was no shaking of hands either. Jaishankar greeted Bilawal Bhutto with namaste at the SCO meeting. So let's see what transpired. But Bilawal Bhutto was present at the dinner for the SCO leaders. There was a meeting, a detailed bilateral meeting with Sergei Lavrov of Russia. They discussed the bilateral relationship, the trade partnership, the geopolitical issues. To China, there was a detailed meeting with Qin Gang, the Chinese Foreign Minister, and External Affairs Minister conveyed that India and China must focus on resolving outstanding issues and ensure peace and tranquility in border areas.
The menace of terrorism continues unabated. Taking our eyes off this menace would be detrimental to our security interests. We firmly believe that there can be no justification for terrorism, and it must be stopped in all its forms and manifestations, including cross-border terrorism. The channel of finances for terrorist activities must be seized and blocked without distinction.
Well, that is the SCO meeting currently underway in Goa. Manipur remains tense following ethnic clashes earlier this week. The Indian Army has said the situation is under control. The centre has now deployed more troops. The Northeast Frontier Railways has suspended all train operations through the state for the next 48 hours. Mobile internet in the state remains cut off. The suspense in the NCP suspension episode continues. A committee of senior NCP leaders formed to decide the future of the party's leadership has unanimously rejected Sharad Pawar's resignation. The panel has requested Sharad Pawar to continue as party chief at least until the 2024 elections. The 82-year-old veteran politician has said he needs more time to take a final call.
शरद पवार साहब का राजीनामा हम एक मत से सर्वानुमत नामंजूर करते हैं और उनको सामूहिक तौर से ये हम विनती करते हैं कि उन्होंने अपने इस पद पर कायम रहना चाहिए.
The NCP rejecting Sharad Pawar's resignation. Now, wrestlers continue their protest, seeking the arrest of Federation Chief Brij Bhushan Singh on allegations of sexual harassment. Sports Minister Anurag Thakur said the Delhi police was conducting a fair probe, urged protesting athletes to allow investigations to be completed. The wrestlers have been protesting at Jantar Mantar since the 23rd of April. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. Our Friday favorite, our Editors Roundtable, is coming up next.